Hello everyone. In this session, we'll discuss about constructor in Java, types of constructor and constructor overloading. First, we'll start with what is constructor. As we already know, class consists of variables and methods. To access those variables and methods, we will create an object. The syntax for creating object is class name, object name is equal to new constructor. Here, constructor is a special method or special member of the class which is used to initialize the data members. Next, we'll learn the rules of constructor. The first rule is constructor name should be same or equal to class name. The second rule, the constructor will not have return type. And third rule is the constructor will not return any value. And fourth rule is constructor should be always non-static. Let's see an example on constructor in Spring Tool Suite for IDE. Here created a project called Java Constructor and class with name car. Now we'll write a variable in car underscore ID semicolon and string car underscore name semicolon. In order to access those variables, we have to create an object. The syntax for creating object is class name, that is car here, and object name I'll give object is equal to new keyword and constructor. The constructor name should be same as class name. So I will write here car. Then we'll access those variables through the object. So write here system.out.println. In this print statement, write object dot car underscore ID. And to access car underscore name variable, again write system.out.println and write here object dot car underscore name. Here we have declared variables, but those variables are not initialized. If I run this program, by default the value will be 0 and null. Whenever we execute this program, the controller will search for the constructor which is not explicitly defined here. So we'll write here constructor, as the first rule says, the constructor name should be same as class name, that is car. How we can identify this method as a constructor? As the second rule says, the constructor will not have return type. So this method is not returning any type, then we can call it as constructor. Now we'll initialize the variables. Car underscore ID is equal to 2 and car underscore name is equal to, in double quotes, we'll write reds. Now we'll run this program. In output, we are getting car ID is 2 and car name is reds. We'll see how this program works. When we run this program, the object is created and then controller will search for the constructor in this class. So here is the constructor. In this constructor, we have initialized the variables. Then controller will go to these system.out.println statements. Then it will print 2 and reds. Next, we'll discuss the concept types of constructor. So there are two types of constructor. Non-parameterized constructor, also call it as default constructor, and parameterized constructor. Non-parameterized constructor means any constructor which is declared without any parameter is called as non-parameterized constructor or default constructor. This program is the example for non-parameterized constructor or default constructor. In this program, this is the constructor. So in this constructor, I have not passed any arguments or parameter. So we can call it as non-parameterized constructor. Second type of constructor is parameterized constructor. Any constructor with parameters is called as parameterized constructor. Let's see the example for parameterized constructor. For this program, we'll create one more constructor called car. In this constructor, we'll pass parameters int id, string str. Next, we'll initialize car underscore id is equal to id and car underscore name is equal to str. Next, in main method, we'll create one more object for the newly created constructor. Car object reference is equal to name car. So in this constructor, we'll pass the values for the variables. 3, in double quotes, I'll write here nano. And to access variables, we'll write print statement system.out.println, and here we'll write object reference dot car underscore id. And here also we'll write system.out.println object reference dot car underscore name. Now we'll run this code. Here is the out 2 reads 3 nano. This is the example for parameterized constructor. If you observe this program, in the same class, we have developed multiple constructor but variation in argument list. Variation in argument list means variation in length of argument, variation in data type of the argument, variation in order of occurrence of the argument. This concept we call it as constructor overloading. In this program, we have created two constructors. In first constructor, there are no arguments or parameters. In second constructor, there is parameters or arguments. So this program is an example for the constructor overloading. Please subscribe to our channel, help us to grow. Thanks for watching.